Welcome to Talkin' Jets. My name's Ryan, and I'll be your pilot tonight. I am joined alongside my co-pilot, Green Bean. How you doing, brother?
Hey, what's happening, man? This is weird, just you and I, but we're gonna have a good time, I think, Ryan.
I think so. For those of you just coming in, make sure you hit that like button. We are flying without Matt today. Matt's going to see the Met game with his cousin, so he's very excited about that. Wish him all the best. Hopefully they win. But yeah, we're going to be here talking a little bit of Jets. For every 25 likes we get on that like meter, we're going to pick a qualifier for our t-shirt giveaway at the end of the stream. And if you're watching this after the fact, all you got to do is comment on the video and you get qualified in next week's t-shirt giveaway. But yeah, going to be a lot of fun. A lot of things we can go into. I'm like 10 days out from being a dad, possibly. We're like knocking down the door. Knocking down the door.
10 days. So wait, you said it was June 11th or what did you say the day was? The 11th?
June 11th is the expected due date. But I guess at this point it's kind of like whenever you get the phone call, drop everything and run. That's kind of where my head's at.
Yeah, it's like here it comes. And it could happen in 5 minutes from now. It could. You know what's going to happen? Buddy.
We're gonna be on stream, and it's gonna be like, Ryan, we gotta go now. Like, I love you guys. We gotta go. It's just sorry. Ugh.
Yeah, you know what? I'm almost hoping for it. Not that I want the show to end or anything, but that would be some good TV, man.
It would be pretty funny if that wound up happening. But
I'm gonna text Becca, see if she can pull this off for us.
She's gonna like fool me. That's what's gonna happen. She's gonna be like, I'll get him, and then I'll be like, don't do that.
Right.
It's not okay.
Yeah, like, no, that's not. Yeah, no. Let's. Hey,
Edward Ziff says, blog the birth.
Right.
I think Becca may.
Here's something.
Hold on, I got to get a close up. She said, no, you don't.
Right. I know. I was just out there on the road with RVers, full-time RVers, and they're an eclectic bunch, right? A lot more. In many instances, a lot more crunchy, like people willing to, either preppers or live on the earth and all kinds of shit. And there was one couple I made that YouTubed their entire birth, close-ups, everything. It's like a 3-hour video or something like that on YouTube. Craig, I said, you don't mind? He's like, no, why would I mind? I'm like, all right. Yeah, well, I could think of a few reasons why I'd mind, but that's okay.
It all escapes me. I couldn't think of any reason why that might be a little odd. But
yeah, a little different than maybe what I want to do tonight.
Yeah, right. Could you imagine just scrolling around YouTube, just clicking through things? Oh, look, Steve uploaded a video. Whoa, wait a second.
Yeah, it'd be I don't know if I could watch it though. I've seen. Have you watched any full live births and stuff like that? Have you done that?
Yeah, we had a few birthing classes. So we were watching and I don't want to say participating, but they would ask us questions, things like that, show us different slides. Everything's virtual now. So we didn't do the in-class, what are they, Lamaze classes or whatever.
Yeah.
We did breastfeeding. So I learned a whole bunch about nipples. That was cool.
That's right. It's totally different, right? With the latching and where it's more about the areola you learn.
Dude, I was blown away. I was pretty positive that it was all about the nipple. I was at a solid 100%. It's all about the nipple. It's not about the nipple at all.
It's not. It's of course, why wouldn't we think it's about the nipple? But it's not. It's
growing up, it was such a big deal about nipples and
nipples.
Not the nipple.
Welcome to Jets. So Nipple Talk 24/7. I love it. This is good.
Kyle drops in and says, "Is it too much to expect Sauce?" I guess we got to start talking football now.
Do we?
Sorry, Kyle. He goes, "Is it too much to expect Sauce to have a similar season to Patrick Surtain?" I don't know where 𝐒𝐮𝐬𝐜𝐫𝐢𝐻𝐿 ended
I'll
up
take a
finishing. So
look. Let me see.
let's see. Let's see what we got.
Let's take a look.
What's
Where are you
going
going
on
to
over there?
PFF?
I'm just going to Pro Football Reference. So he played
Yeah,
in 16 games, started 15, had 4 interceptions, had a touchdown,
All right.
14 passes deflected, and had 58 combo tackles, like 45 solo, 13 assisted.
Yeah.
So 58 total.
And 1 tackle for a loss. Yeah, and the passes defense, he's only 2 behind Bryce Hall.
Interesting.
But that's a good season, though. Four picks, he took 1 back for a TD, too.
Yeah.
I don't think that's unrealistic.
Very
Ryan.
happy.
Yeah.
If we wind up with 4 picks from Sauce, I'd be very happy year 1.
Yeah. Me too. It's going to be nice to, like the idea of getting interceptions and stuff, or, and turnovers in general. It's an area that we've lacked, any real impact in a long time. I mean, we've had our spots, like our little blips on the radar where we get a couple, but by and large, the last 5-10 years, it's been like, that hasn't been a huge part of our game. We've always been negative in the turnover ratio. And it would be real nice to think that some of these guys that we brought on, Jordan Whitehead causing fumbles, DJ Reed and Sauce Gardner getting interceptions. And it'd be nice to be on that side of things for once.
Yeah, right. Like if you have a positive turnover ratio, nothing determines wins more than turnover ratio. And the Jets have been shooting themselves in the foot for the last, 10 to 12 years with Mark Sanchez, Geno Smith, Sam Darnold. Last year, Zach Wilson gave up the ball a bunch. So yeah, if you can create, like, as much as it's been us shooting ourselves in the foot from an offensive perspective, like you kind of alluded to, the defensive side of the ball really hasn't, carried its weight at all. I mean, when's the last time we had a season where we're like, wow, we're generating turnovers? Like, you should be able to get at least 1 a game. And I feel like the Jets just have not been that. I don't know what our, number would work out to be, but it's got to be pretty low.
No, it was very low. I mean, our defensive backs, they didn't have any until like, what was it, week 14 or something? Then Eccles had 2 picks, and Ashton Davis had 2 picks. I think that's it for the defensive backs. And then JFM had a pick, like a tip.
I was going to say
pick,
one of our D linemen had it. I think he was the first
did
pick.
Shaq. No,
or maybe Shaq Lawson. I think Shaq Lawson was the first one.
Yeah. But I think that was it. I think it's 6 picks last year. I think that's it. Maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like I can. That's a bad sign when you can off the top of your head remember them, and it's not good.
No, that's pretty bad.
Ryan, we've been a pretty bad defense. I know the first year with Greg Williams, we were able to we played better than maybe we were supposed to. And for little periods of time there, we had some nice stats, but we were the number 1 rushing defense in the NFL for a little while. And then I think we ended up being top 5 or something like that. But that's one of those things that Jets fans have had to look at and kind of try to hang our hat on, is being one of the best run defenses in the league over the years. But we all know, if we're just being honest, we know why that is. It's because they have no problem passing on us. They screen like last year. It was the live and die by the ability to cover the screen and then tight ends. We just couldn't do it. So yes, maybe we have a great run defense, but they're fucking throwing for 400 or 500 yards on us every game, and that's the kind of thing. So it would be real nice to see us kind of clamp down. Sure, let's be good at stopping the run and all that, but it'd be nice to start seeing a little bit more stoppage as opposed to 8-10 minute drives. Some stoppages, and maybe even stoppages that are caused by turnovers. Like, let's flip this damn field. And see what we can give the offense. I mean, that's the thing. We look at, the offense and all their inadequacies, but like you were just alluding to, the defense hasn't done much to help recently.
Yeah, and think about those top positions, right? Like the ones you want to generate turnovers. It's cornerbacks, which we've really been lacking in, and pass rushers that strip the ball away from the quarterback. Those are like the big areas, and we just have not had those since Revis and Cromartie. Really the last time we had some halfway decent turnover generators. So I want to see more of that. I do think the pass rush will create more errant throws for the secondary to take advantage of. And like you said, the Jets defense being like a top run stuffing team, it's teams had leads on us. They were just eating clock. So like them running into a cloud of dust for 2 yards and eating, 40 seconds off the clock, totally fine by them. So it when you're selling out against the run, of course you're going to be good against the run.
Right. Yeah, it's been a weird one. I mean, of course it means something. Of course it's good. But when, if they're just, because they're not even, they don't care about the run because it's so easy to pass on us. That's, that's what I always talk about. I talked about it in my podcast this week about like stats versus the story. You know what I mean? Like stats are great. And I think we like to call them the nerds. JetX has 2 straight podcasts where they call them the nerds. The nerds think this. The nerds think it's really funny. But it's like the analytics guys, right? And it's like, obviously analytics is very, very valuable. Nobody's saying otherwise. But I really do think that a lot of these analytical mind people, I don't even know if they really watch football for the sake of football. It's all numeric. And that to me, it's like, I don't know. I want to know why the stats, just like I'm talking about. Like, yes, we had the great run defense, but let's look at a couple other things and find out, that our defense actually sucks. You know what I mean? Overall, like that's the kind of thing I like to look at here. And I'd like to see a more well-rounded. And look, if we just get up to 20th, 18th defense, something middle of the pack, I would be really happy with that improvement.
Yeah, you look at where we were in like basically every category last year. And like you said, these guys just have their head in the numbers and they're just putting out info. And then it's up to guys like you, me, JetX, Matt, all the guys in the content creator sphere to create some context around those numbers. So I think there's definitely value in getting those analytics because if they're looking at it as just a +1, -1, 0 kind of grading scale, then at least there's a standardized thing for it, but then you could find trends like, okay, this is weird. Why is this guy higher than that guy? Was it injury? Was it, scheme was different? I don't know. Could be a lot of turnover on the defense. Like maybe the guys in front of him were playing poorly. He had more responsibility in other, areas. It's tough to kind of get a read on. Like CJ Mosley to me last year didn't play bad, but his PFF grades were all not that good. And it felt more like a side effect of a bad defense overall and just, not a lot of talent around him than it was just on CJ himself.
Well, right, dude. We watch the games, right? So we see the guy flying all over the place. He's one of a handful of guys in on most tackles. I mean, there's PFF doesn't necessarily have a measurement for that, So, I'm with you. It's like that. He's a derivative of maybe everything else, and he suffered because of it. A really fun one is Zach Wilson too. When you just like some, whether it's a layman fan or, somebody who's just looking at numbers, somebody who doesn't watch the Jets, and they just go through the stats and they go, God, this guy is terrible. What could you possibly think? But when you look at the story of this guy, when you look at the fact that the first quarter of the season, he was rookie season, he was a number 1 sacked, rushed, hurried, hit quarterback in the NFL. He also had numerous drops that led to picks and all kinds of that, that sort of stuff. Rookie offensive coordinator. Like when you start to stack those things on top of each other, and then you go through the season and you see the areas that he was able to mitigate negatives. Like a big one is the turnovers, right? Like he went from 11 interceptions, or what was it, 10 interceptions his first, I don't know, 9 games.
And
then it was, it was one in the last 6. And that's a huge, huge difference. And it's like, if you pay attention to all that stuff, you can have hope and you can have legitimate hope. If you don't, if you just take a moment and peek in the window and go, oh my God, what are they talking? That guy's the worst I've ever seen. But that's the thing. He's a real fun one, man, because there's lots of different things you can look at. And then the guy comes back this year. And he put on he said he was 208 last season. He was playing at 208, and he came to camp this year at 221. And he said it's mainly because of nutrition, which is fascinating to me. So anyway, it's like, all right, now we saw with the turnovers, we saw him start to understand the offense. We're seeing him in his first NFL offseason put on, X amount of pounds. Looks like most of it's muscle, if not all of it. And it's like, okay, what are we going to see with this guy this year? We gave him all the weapons. We're going to protect him. So we took a lot of our assets and put it into directly removing the issues that he dealt with last year. The sacks,
wide receivers dropping balls, depth at running back, tight ends. Yes,
right. Like our whole offseason, especially where the offense is concerned, it could literally be called the Zach Wilson offseason. We plugged every single thing that was giving him a hard time, except for Mike LaFleur. Like we're hoping that he can build on Mike LaBooth, But he's interesting. He's an interesting test study. There was a really good video. I'll send it to you later, man. I forget who put it out. Somebody I'm not really into, but he said actually Zach was one of the best. He's going to be one of the best quarterbacks this year, and it's really fantastic. Braden from New Zealand, Mark Riz, those guys know. It's actually in my Discord with the Patreon. Somebody put it up there. I think it was Iowa. But anyway, I'll get that to you later so you can see it, Ryan. It's fantastic, man.
Hell yeah. That reminds me. We'll get through Liberal Irishman's comment and Thomas Cahill's comment in just a few seconds. I have Chris Sims talking about his top 40 quarterbacks and where Zach Wilson ranks. So once we get through these comments, we'll throw that on and we'll kind of give our thoughts. It's like an 11-minute long video, so we'll kind of pause it in between and just digest it as it kind of goes. And you guys can chime in along with things that pop up as well. We'll read that as it comes up. Liberal Irishman celebrates 15 months of membership. Says, could Bryce Hall move to safety? Love you guys. We love you, Irishman. I don't really want Bryce Hall to move to safety. I think there's a lot of other potential like position changes that could happen with guys going to safety. And I feel like Bryce presents a really nice depth what word am I looking for? I think he provides very nice depth at cornerback as opposed to moving him over to safety. What are your thoughts? I know you're a big Bryce Hall guy.
Yeah, I am. And if you look at last year, man, I mean, the one thing that people knock him on is that he didn't come down with interceptions, which is fine to knock him. You would have liked to see him come away with some. But he was very, very solid last year. Don't forget, we put the cornerbacks literally on an island. We had no pass rush. We had no linebackers. So it was a hard time for those guys. I was really... I was impressed, for lack of a better word, I was impressed by how well Michael Carter, Bryce Hall, and Brandon Echols did. But as far as moving Hall to safety, I've been tossing this one around in my brain for a couple of weeks now. It gets brought up every now and again. And here's the thing. He's never played safety, and we have guys on the squad that have, right? So, even like we see in OTAs that Jason Pinnock is getting the starter reps. And Bryce Hall, interestingly enough, is getting the starter reps at cornerback. I wouldn't make too much about it. He was the starter. He's going to be the starter until Sauce earns it, and I think that's the right way to handle it. But we don't know exactly how many times they're going to want to be in the dime packages or big nickel and have more cornerbacks than safeties. Like, for example, we all look at the free safety position and we're thinking it's kind of a weakness. We don't really know what LaMarcus Joyner is. We don't really know what Jason Pinnock is, if he can really do it. We got Elijah Riley, a couple guys. But what if the plan, seriously, is to have Sauce Gardner, DJ Reed, Michael Carter, Bryce Hall, Jordan Whitehead on the field? Like, do we have a problem with that? I mean, those are nope. 4 really good cover guys and a thumper. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It's like, I don't know. So, again, I just think that Bryce Hall is incredibly valuable. Even if he's not going to be our starter, it would be nice to have, if somebody goes down, to drop to Bryce Hall instead of dropping to Parry Nickerson. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what we've been used to. So I think he probably could do it, Ryan, and Irishman. I think he could do it, and I think he would do it. But I don't know. I think his value is really at cornerback.
Thomas Cahill drops in with another cornerback question. Says, hey guys, where do you think Javelin Guidry stands on this defense? In my mind, when I watch him, I see him as like backup slot corner. I don't know where you're at with him, but that's kind of where I sort of envision him being.
Yeah, well, look, I'm not the biggest Javelin Guidry fan to begin with. I really didn't like his college tape, but I will tell you that he has impressed me because I had him so low on my brain. I didn't even think
Mm.
he'd be here this long. Now, this staff seems to like him. We do know he's super crazy fast, right? He's like a lightning bolt out there, so that has value. And I think he has shown one of the things that I was really hardest on him for was I called him, it's called a sidestepper, a
Mm.
tackler that lets the guy get to him and kind of jumps on his back instead of like meeting him and taking him down.
Mm.
So he made some really nice open field tackles this year. But I got to say, I agree with what you said. Like my ceiling for Javelin Guidry would be like backup nickel. Like that's what I think. But they had him playing outside last year a couple of times, and we saw against
Mm.
Stefon Diggs, he came in. They decided to put him. I think 𝐒𝐿s or whoever got hurt. They put Javelin Guidry on the outside on Stefon Diggs. They threw it one time. He beat him, but I guess he stepped out of bounds in the end zone, and they just did the exact same play again, beat him again, and he scored a touchdown on him. So, I mean, I don't know. I think putting him on the outside would probably be a mistake unless it's necessary, like it's a necessity move. And I think if they like him, back up, but I'd love to see an upgrade there. I'm not the biggest, I don't have that much confidence in him.
Edward Ziff says, I can't think of the last time a team did such a massive refurbishment in one offseason. Can you guys think of one? I mean, the rebuild jump from the Bengals last year is probably the most jarring. But when I'm thinking of teams that went from like awful to really good, like real quick, the one that kind of jumps out at me, and I'm sure I'm missing some other ones in there, but it's the Saints right when they got Drew Brees. They got Reggie Bush. That city was just torn down from Katrina, the hurricane that ripped through there. And I just remember them going from the 𝐒𝐻s and like literally losing like any game they could go up against to like this team's going to be really friggin' good for like a long time. What about you? Is there a team that you can kind of think of that did a really big refresh?
Like worst to first kind of a thing?
Maybe.
Well, the Niners a couple years ago, they had the second overall pick. They were, you know what I mean, and they went right to the Super Bowl after that. So that was interesting. I mean, even though they weren't as bad, there were some injuries and stuff. They weren't necessarily
Jimmy G
as
getting
bad,
hurt, right? Because they had traded for him, and I think he tore his Achilles or his ACL
he
or
did.
something.
Right. So it was like you could see that, they weren't necessarily as bad as their record, but still they were the second overall pick. That's not the 10th overall pick. That's a major slip. And they came right back and went to the Super Bowl. I don't know. I'm finding it difficult to find any of them. I mean, usually it's like 2-3 years. And even with the Bengals, I mean, let's not forget Joe Burrow was in his second year last year. It's not a first year, and they Jonah Williams and T Higgins, like those guys were there 2 to 3 years. I mean, they've been friggin' rebuilding since the 90s, bro. So, and if we look at last year was the third year for this head coach, and with that team, so you could say that it was their third year that did it. It's not quite a worst to first, even though they had that whole collapse at the end of the year and they weren't all that good. I think they're a lot of people like to say that they had a 1-year jump. It's just not true.
Yeah, Scotty says the Manning Colts was a good one. I would argue the Luck Colts as well. I would think both those. They went from literally the first overall pick to I think it was a playoff team that first year.
Yeah, right. That's right. Yeah, because they I was so mad at the Colts. Like they get Peyton Manning when he should have been ours. By the way, I want to make sure everybody knows that he was our quarterback. That was all supposed to be us, and it wasn't. So I never liked Peyton Manning. He goes over there and then he has this great career, and then he gets hurt. The 1 year he gets hurt, they're 1-15, and they get Andrew Luck. You know what I mean? I was like, the fuck is what what is
this? Get richer.
Right.
That's how I felt about the Packers too. Like after Favre leaves eventually, I was like, oh good, whatever. Who cares what's next? And then friggin' Rodgers.
And then they get Aaron Rodgers, who they sat. Wasn't it 3 years that he sat behind Favre?
Yeah.
See, man, that's
They'd
something.
never do that now.
No, and look, the way that the rookie contracts are structured now, I know it kind of changed that. It's really important because
Yeah.
look, contracts have skyrocketed the past decade, especially the quarterbacks. But I still think it's more beneficial for these guys. Like, we like to
Mhm.
throw a guy right in there his first year. And if he's not awesome, we're literally talking about him being a bust. And it's
Mhm.
like, this whole new way of doing it. I mean, if it is, right? If that's what everybody's going to do, it's what everybody's going to do. But I still think it is much better and safer to like give guys their 3 years. If you can
Mhm.
buffer them for a year, go ahead and do that, man. Let them learn. Let them, get up. This is the best in the world. Like, can we just give them a second to adjust to this level of talent? But yeah, man, I don't know. That's a good one. The Colts. The Niners is the only one I could really think of. I think even the Bills, like, it took them a few years.
Yeah, that was like a
Uh,
3-year rebuild.
yeah, 3 years.
I would
The
say so.
Patriots.
You mentioned the jump going from Rodgers and everything like that, and why teams don't do that anymore. And you look at the collective bargaining agreement that was in place when Aaron Rodgers was drafted. That was when the rookie quarterbacks and those top draft picks really got a ton of money for
Yeah,
unproven talent. Where now it's the opposite. Now they don't. I mean, they get paid a lot. It's fully guaranteed, but it's not. It's nowhere near what it
no,
was with those first few rookie, like towards, I would say the last like 8 years of rookie quarterbacks coming out before they changed it was like really jarring. So to get, what was Rodgers, 22nd, 24th, something like that. It was like mid 20s or so when he was taken.
yeah,
For
something
him to
like that.
sit 3 years, it was to the benefit of the Packers because they didn't have the 5th-year option. I think it was just a 5-year contract. So going into year 4, you now have 2 years for him to like prove himself. So that the first year, I don't remember the stats offhand for those two, but he got like a Band-Aid contract. So you almost like get the benefit of not having to pay the skyrocketing contract by having your quarterback sit a little bit. So his second deal wasn't so bad, which is why there's so much emphasis on the money he's getting paid now, is because he's kind of making up for lost time in a sense because of it.
Yeah, that's a funny thing, and you're right. The whole number one, with Aaron Rodgers sitting, like, it clearly was to his benefit, but right, the way that it was, who's the quarterback that comes to mind when you think about those skyrocket, like you're the first or second or fifth overall pick, and they would hold out and they would have to
Yeah.
get paid like they
Mm-hmm.
already had, successful NFL careers. Who's the one quarterback that comes to mind when you think about that era?
When I think of
You have one?
quarterbacks holding out, well, the one player that
Like that
jumps off,
that period of time. Yeah.
so the one player that jumps off the page at me is Michael Crabtree, because I think he missed like half the season waiting to get a contract, and then he finally signed. Um, but other quarterbacks, now I got to think for a second.
Well, I'll tell you the one that I'm thinking of, and it's
Yeah, yeah.
Jamarcus Russell.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Jamarcus Russell. Yeah, like, so he got this massive contract, and he literally did nothing, and they were locked in for X amount of years and the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
But so I was actually a big fan of them having standard salaries for the draft position. I think that's fantastic,
Mm-hmm.
and they should never change that. But I
Mm-hmm.
think, like, this 5th-year thing, like, wanting to get quarterbacks, like, to know what they are and try to win during
Mm-hmm.
that window, has become just so much more entrenched in
Mm-hmm.
the zeitgeist of the NFL. It's like, everybody knows it. You got to do it now. So
Mm-hmm.
it's like sitting a guy, when you got him for 5 years, you have that 5-year window. Sitting him for any length of time is
Mm-hmm.
almost seen as like,
You're giving
it's a
up your Super
mistake.
Bowl window. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
If the
And it's
Jets, if
interesting.
if Zach Wilson takes this step forward this year that we're all thinking he's going to make, next year starts the Super Bowl window. You have essentially 3 years after this year, maybe 4 if like the contract kind of doesn't hit a big cap hit that first year or something like that. But you really have 3 years with Zach while you have the benefit of the rookie contract to get a Super Bowl. That's why it's so critical, and why teams are like, I don't know. It's just there's so much. Buffalo Jet fan
Yeah.
said Sam Bradford got like 45 trillion, or no, 45 billion, 595 million, $939,595. Yeah, Sam Bradford got a bucket load of money to like not really
Sam
play a whole lot of
Bradford.
games.
And I liked Sam Bradford so much too. Like he was
So did I.
one of those quarterbacks when the Rams got him,
Mm-hmm.
I thought without question, said this is the guy. Like this
Yep.
is that guy. Like he's that good. And when you watched him, you could see it. I mean, he was so talented. His thing was injuries.
Yeah, he was at Oklahoma with AP, I think, right? Adrian Peterson.
You know
I think
what?
so.
I don't know.
I know it was close in that time.
Wasn't it 3 times for first round picks? Isn't there a record or something like that with him? Maybe Buffalo.
He was
knows.
traded for 3 first round picks total. It was the Rams drafted him. He was traded to the Eagles. And then I think he was traded from the Eagles to the Vikings for a first. And then I think he went to like the Cardinals for some picks too. He got traded a ton of times.
Yep.
And it's really good. If he stayed healthy, he would have been fine.
If he stayed healthy, he was legit, dude. He was legit. He had everything you wanted in a quarterback, except for the fact that he doesn't stay on the field.
So let's jump into some other stuff that we have to talk about. I don't know if you saw this. I said we were going to talk about the Zach Wilson thing, but I want to bring up an article that I saw that really drove me a little bonkers, and it was the Jets lost the Jamal Adams trade. Did you catch this article at all?
You know what? I didn't read it on purpose, but I won't give it my one click. But I did see it. I saw some reactions. I saw it's just I don't know. Yeah, I
had one person very upset with me that I didn't. I had one person very upset with me that I didn't link the article down below my video, and I was like, I don't want to give this guy any more clicks than he's got, but I guess I'll give him clicks because I'm ranting about this stupid thing.
Well, that's okay. Look, talking about something is different than clicking. You know what I mean? So at least that's what I tell myself.
Dude, they were trying to justify like, Jamal Adams, he's an all-pro. He's made 3 Pro Bowls or whatever. And, he's the safety sack leader. It's like, yeah, okay. Well, Connor McDermott caught a touchdown. I'm pretty sure he led all tackles and touchdowns last year. That doesn't mean we're going to fucking crown this guy like the greatest tackle in the league for doing something he's not really meant to be doing.
Yeah. Let's be real here for a second. Jamal Adams did all that while he was here. I mean, he went over there. He was a second-team All-Pro, if I remember correctly. Mm-hmm. The first year that he was over there, and he played okay. He got the sacks